Okay, hi, good evening, everybody. How are you all doing? It's Mike Lantosi here. I am the practice growth consultant, head of practice growth consulting here with MyAdvice. Very excited to be bringing this webinar here to you this evening on really growing your practice and really how you can start to really do that through your online strategy. Before we kind of dive in here, we're doing this webinar in conjunction with NavaClick, and Carla is actually in here as well too. Carla, I'm going to ask aloud for you to talk here. So if you could just unmute yourself, if you could. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you, and I'm unmuted, I think.
Awesome, great. Hey, I know that you've been under the weather, so I appreciate you taking the time to put this all together, and I'm really excited to dive in. Is there any starting words that you would like to maybe impart before we begin?
Oh, I just want to say hi to everybody, make sure everybody knows how appreciative we are that you're here, and to just understand how important it is to us at Lineage Biomedical that we are part of your team, that we're here for you, bringing value, we hope, to your practice every day. And anyway, reach out if ever you need anything. I hope you know about all the downloads that are on our website for you. I hope Michael's going to talk to you about getting signed up on our provider locator. But yeah, I mean, just looking forward to what we learned tonight together, knowing that we're all collaborating. So welcome.
Absolutely, no, for sure. And what we're going to talk about here tonight. So I met Carla at a meeting that we were at a few months ago, and was just really impressed by some of the technology that I've been seeing with NavaClick. And listen, as you guys start to invest into some of these technologies, what you're really starting to do is you're starting to elevate your practice, right? And we have to understand that as we start to elevate our practice, the type of patient that you might be looking to bring in or to attract or to acquire is a little bit different, and you have to think about your marketing from a different mindset and a different perspective. Particularly if your practice is in more of a startup mode or a growth mode, I see so many practice owners where they might be buying a bunch of ads on Instagram, and they're spending all this money and they're not really seeing results come back in, and that can be quite hurtful in terms of your bottom line. And unfortunately, just not a lot of practice owners really understand the value of really how to understand the layers of your marketing strategy. And that's what we're going to really demystify here this evening, is really how to grow your online aesthetic digital marketing roadmap here in 2025, and how SEO is really playing a big role in that. But I will tell you guys that the overall idea about this presentation today is that when the ultimate goal is to drive leads and to increase revenue, it's not just about one thing that you're doing. It's about how many pieces really fit together. But there is really a proper order and a proper sequence that you really have to understand. And that's what we're going to dive in here to tonight. So we've got a lot of material to get into. So let me dive in. You might be asking, why the heck is he showing a picture of a baby here? So I've got two boys. My oldest is almost 5, and this is my little baby. His name is York. He was probably about maybe 6 months old at the time where I took this photo. He's now 2. But I'm going to just imagine just a hypothetical proposition here for you guys. Imagine being in a room with this little guy. And hopefully, as you're looking at this photo, you're probably thinking, damn, that's a cute baby. Thank you so much. But imagine being in a room with him, and he's looking at you with these big bright eyes and that big head of his and those cute rosy cheeks. And like, you're probably thinking, I just want to go over and like hug that baby and goo goo gaga him. But imagine me saying, no, you can't do that. I'm sure he's going to be in the room here. I have no idea what just happened here. He's going to be in the room here with you, but you can't touch him. You can't hold him. You can't sweet talk on him. You can't love on him. And by the way, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to really pick him up. I'm going to completely ignore him. I'm not going to tell him that I love him. I'm not going to give him a bottle. Like, who would think that that's a crazy proposition? Hopefully, everybody is thinking that would be insane. So the thing is, though, guys, is that I see so many practice owners treat their marketing in the exact same way. And your business is your baby. I mean, that is your next child that you have. And I talk to so many aesthetics practice owners where they think that the growth opportunities are just going to naturally unfold. Oh, I'm going to just go through word of mouth, and I don't really have to really pay attention just to my marketing or how I'm coming across. And folks, you have to understand that your business growth has to be nurtured. It's something that you're constantly giving attention to. If I want my little son to grow well, of course, like I want him to I want to feed him a bottle every 2 hours. I want to love on him. I want to tell him that he's the most precious thing in the world. And I want to constantly give him that attention to help him to grow into a mature adult and human being. And your business strategy really doesn't work any differently. The marketing that you're doing doesn't work any differently either. Now, the thing is that marketing, it's a mindset. And there's a lot of practice owners that will say that, oh, I think it's too expensive, or, I'm going to do that as I grow a little bit older. So, interesting data point here. So, just to give you our background as an organization, we have been doing aesthetic digital marketing now for over 25 years. So, we bring a lot of understanding as to what's happening within the market. This is a survey report that we took from 2 years ago, but honestly, in today's age, it's still a very applicable data study. We had profiled over 1,000 practice owners, and we wanted to just understand one main thing. How are you planning on investing into marketing? And keep in mind, this is June of 2022, so we're about 2 years into the pandemic. We're just on the heels of an election, a new cycle, a new administration. And there's always going to be chaos. There's always going to be things in the world that tell you that I should not invest into my growth. We have these two wars that are happening within Gaza and then Ukraine. We're hearing about inflation. We just went through another election cycle. So there's always just like this exterior noise, this economic noise that is going to tell you that you should not invest into your growth. So with 1,000 practice owners that we had surveyed, half of them said, are you planning on investing more into marketing? They cited, no, they're not. They're actually pulling resources away. Why did they say that? They cited staffing issues, thinking that marketing is a luxury as opposed to a necessity. And guys, let me just set a standard here. If you are a cash-based business, you need marketing. There is no other way to expect that you're going to generate revenue without putting money into the machine. You cannot see this as a luxury, but you need guidance in terms of understanding the right way of really aligning your strategy, which we're going to talk about tonight. 22% of our respondents said, I'm not so sure. Maybe I'm not, pulling resources away, but I'm sure as heck not putting more into this. I'm going to kind of stay status quo. 29% though of our practice owners said no, they're taking the Warren Buffett mindset where you buy low and you sell high. Understanding that either 49% or 22% of our competition, which basically is about 2/3, is either retracting or they're being a deer in the headlights and they just don't know how to meet the moment. And guys, I talk to practice owners every single day, and I can tell you that the majority of your competition, and frankly, even potentially you, are meeting the moment in the same way. So how are you breaking the cycle? How are you breaking your mindset? Now, it's important to understand the relationship of your marketing, because this is something that I tell a lot of my practice owners is that, yes, like marketing, it's about producing revenue and patients in the here and now. But it's also about, and its true value into your practice is about what it's doing to produce future predictive revenue pipeline. What are the investments that you're making into your growth today that are going to pay the dividends out, say 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, 12 months down the line? In other words, what does it do to create patient lifetime value? In other words, what is one new patient worth to your practice over the course of time? And we've actually done quite a bit of data study on this and understanding that really the first time that a patient comes into your practice, maybe they're getting some Botox, derm and filler, some consultation time. Generally speaking, that patient is investing around $1,400 into your practice. I can tell you, for me, this is a very true number. When York was born, I got my wife, Chelsea, a push present. She wanted a PRP facial, $1,500 later for 3 treatments. That's exactly what I spent. So this is a very real number for me personally. But keep in mind, for that practice that Chelsea went to, it's not just about, giving her a PRP facial. They want to get her to invest into other services, maybe some other fillers, semaglutide, weight loss, or whatever that might be. So over a 15-year life cycle, which is, again, the average retention time for a med spa patient, generally speaking, that patient will have invested $57,000 into your practice. Now, think about it from this perspective. When's the last time that you watched a new patient come in through your door and you thought to yourself, there is $57,000 right there? Or the $1,000 I invested into my marketing produced, say, $114,000 of future predictive revenue pipeline. In other words, 2 new patients. Practice owners just don't see the world that way. And that's really what's important to understand. It's about building for not only just the here and now, but also the long term, to build more of that practice equity. Now, when the goal is to do that and to do it efficiently, to not put yourself into a position where you're spending more to see less back. With our years in this space, with over 2 decades of experience working with cash-based healthcare practices, what we've come to understand is that there is an efficient way of doing it so that way you don't have to feel like you're shelling out thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, or even frankly overspending to what your revenue is as a percentage of your marketing. What I'm about to share with you is our framework, which is what we call our pyramid of success. And it's really a 6-step approach that we found to be most effective to, again, not only just produce high ROI in terms of patients, but to do it in the most cost efficient way. So, how do you do it? Well, number one, it starts with having a great website. Websites, guys, are not dead. Okay. You need a great website because the website is the hub that governs every type of visibility spoke that you might do to give your practice more exposure. I don't care if it's through digital, if it's through a billboard or through that local magazine, all that traffic leads back to the website. And the website, it helps you to track data. It helps you to understand what we call your key performance indicators or your KPIs. Are you understanding where people are going on your website? All that helps you to start to market better and smarter and more intelligently through data intelligence. Now, once we have a great website, how do we drive the visibility? A lot of marketing companies are going to tell you right away, do a bunch of ads, do a bunch of ads on Meta or Google, or start to do SEO. Guys, if anyone is telling you to do those things first, you need to raise the red flag and take a step away, because what I'm telling you is that while those things can be effective, in order for those higher level things to work that are more expensive to do and take a consistent effort to see an ROI from, it requires that they be supported with more foundational things. So the very first thing that you have to do is align with what we call your local listings and making sure that your business data and how that's being set up and aggregated online is consistent. If that sounded like Greek to you, don't worry about that. We're going to delve into what that means in just a quick moment. The next thing is all about what you're doing to drive reviews about your practice online, specifically to Google. There are a lot of review sites which are out there, but Google placates the most in terms of how you're going to generate new acquisition revenue into your practice. Next, now we start to think about having a great online social media presence. Are you posting a lot on, say, Facebook, Instagram, et cetera, et cetera? Now, what these first 4 layers here, guys, are, this is the complete foundation. And first and foremost, regardless if your practice is brand new and you're just getting started, or if you've been in practice for a long time, you still need to align the foundation first. Now, if your goal is to grow quicker and faster and more acceleratedly, only at that point do you then start to layer in what we call SEO. We're going to talk about what that means in just a quick moment here, or then paid ads. But the idea about these 2 top level things is that you don't do them until that base is really set first. So let's dive in here and let's talk about the website. And frankly, why do you have a website? Why does this exist? And this is a common question that I ask whenever I present at a live meeting. And think about that question rhetorically, because people will say to me, well, you have a website because people go there to become educated or validated. Like, you have to have a website in today's age. How about to make money? Because that's what the website's job is. It's to be able to drive profitability and revenue. In other words, it's there to make your phone ring. And if it's not doing that for you, then it's not doing the job in the way that it should. And let me give you guys a little bit of a quick story here. So I was giving this lecture a few years ago. I forget which aesthetic conference that I was at, but the doctor comes up to me afterwards and he says to me, Mike, I've got a big problem in my practice. And I said, all right, well, talk to me. What's happening? And I think his practice was somewhere in Calgary, outside of Calgary. And he had said to me, listen, I'm just going to tell you right now, like how I do facial injectables in my practice, no one does them better than me in my area. Like, I have the best at facial injectables. My results look amazing. They're perfect. My patients are super happy. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I am the best at that. And I'm like, okay, well, what's your problem? He said, you had a problem. And he goes, yeah, my problem. So my problem is that this practice had moved in about 6 months ago. I've been doing this for over 20 years. But ever since that time, I'm not doing as many facial injectables, and that's kind of freaking me out a little bit, because usually I use things like Botox or Juvederm and get those patients to convert into higher ticket items in my practice. And so generally what's happening right now is that the top of my sales funnel is being disrupted, and it's having a trickle down effect in terms of how I'm generating some serious cash into my practice. Thank you for helping me understand your problem, I said to him. So I said, okay, cool. Let's take a look at your website. So I went to his website and immediately I knew exactly what his problem was. And he says to me, well, how can you tell what my problem is? You only just spent like 2 seconds looking at my website. I'm like, yeah, that's all the time that I needed. He goes, well, tell me what's happening. And I said to him, listen, doctor, you just got done telling me that you're the best at doing facial injectables in Calgary, that no one does it better than what you do, and your results look perfect and your patients are super happy. He's like, yes, absolutely. And I said to him, like, I hate to tell this to you, but your website sucks. I didn't say it sucks like that, but I mean, I told him in a nice way. It looked just awful. And guys, this was like a, oh, my Siri's hearing me in the background here. This was a dinosaur website. It had like one of those website ticker counters, if you guys remember those, like back in the 90s. I mean, it looked that old. And I even asked him, I said, well, when's the last time you've been on your website? And he's like, gosh, I don't know. It's been years. Like, I forgot the whole thing existed. And I went to his competitor's website, and it was bright, it was vibrant, it had great imagery, it just had a je ne sais quoi that's like, yes, this is the practice that I would invest some serious money into. And it was no wonder when patients were just comparing those two things, who was winning. This doctor even thought to himself, well, I've been around for so long that Google should just always put me number one. Like, it just doesn't work that way. And guys, I'm not trying to get too political here, but what I will tell you is that I think it's one thing that we've learned is that those that drive the attention or capture the attention are the ones that hold the power. Okay. And that's why first impressions matter so much on your website, because if you're not making that great first impression, they're just going to leave you to the website or to the practice that feels like they invest well into their practice. And patients make decisions within 2.9 seconds in terms of if they're going to stay on your website or if they're going to leave. And by the way, if they leave, guess what? They never convert. You're not generating that future lifetime value. So I'm going to show you 6 different websites on the next screen here. They're going to be numbered 1, 2, 3 across the top, 4, 5, 6 on the bottom. Okay. And I'm only going to give you 2.9 seconds. And within that time, I want you to tell me, put into the chat or to the Q&A, what are the practices that you would call first based around how the website makes you feel? All right. Get your eyes ready. Here we go. All right, so I gave you all a little bit more than 2.9 seconds, but tell me, if you can put into the chat, put into the Q&A, which is the practice that you are going to go to just based around the first impression? Six and two. Okay, anybody else? Cool. Well, look, if you have answered 6 and 2, let me reshare my screen here again. You got it right. So the thing is, why do we see 6 and 2, or why is it 6 and 2 as opposed to the other ones? If we had a second look at this here, 6 and 2, these are the websites that are the most visual. They're the most engaging. They just give us, they say a lot without saying too much, right? Number one, if we look at this website, I mean, it's white background, white text. It's just like, there's nothing that's really popping about this. As we look at number 3 here, by God, there's just so much levels of navigation. You have a side navigation, a vertical navigation. It feels very, very busy. Number 5, and by the way, just so you guys know, these were all top ranking websites for Botox. Number 5 here, it's selling products, right? So like, is it really helping to create that narrative? It's not. But again, 6 and 2, they're the most visual. They're the most widescreen. It just, again, that's what helps to sell your practice is emotion and connecting with patients on an emotional level. Now, as good as a website needs to look, it also needs to convert efficiently. So for example, is your phone number always on the eye line of a patient? It doesn't matter where they scroll, they always want to see that main call to action. If you're making it difficult for people to find just a basic phone number, the less efficient this is going to perform for your practice. And especially when you aggregate that over time, it's not going to be as productive. Does your website meet ADA guidelines where I can increase the text size or I can darken the contrast or whatever it is that might be? Not seeing that here either. Guys, by the way, if you don't have ADA compliancy on your website, you are exposing yourself to a potential lawsuit. I did a webinar on this. If you would like to get some questions on this, just ping me afterwards. I'm happy to share this with you. Does it consolidate well down onto a mobile device? Can I click on a phone icon and again get connected directly to the practice's main line? Am I always seeing your social media icons? And so again, bottom line is that as beautiful as a website is, if it's not converting efficiently and you're not making that process easy for your patients, the less effective this is going to perform for you. Now let's get into the gasoline of the visibility. Okay, now that we know that your website really, that's the car that's going to help to give you more exposure. If you're not putting gasoline into the marketing engine to increase your exposure, the less efficient your website becomes. So this all starts with what we call your local search optimization and making sure that how your business data is showing up online is accurate as well as consistent. What does that actually mean? So guys, I'm going to give you a bit of a hypothetical here. And let's pretend that I move to your town or your community. And let's just say if I'm seeking aesthetic services like injectables or body contouring, or semaglutide, weight loss, whatever that might be. If I know that thing that I want, I just do not know who offers it. My question for you is, where do I go to begin my journey of discovery? Hopefully you're thinking about a word that starts with a word that starts with the word G, which is Google. So Google's role is all about what it does to drive your acquisition revenue, which is kind of funny because I talk to so many aesthetics practices and they post so much on social media. It's like, okay, well, you just said that patients, when they're looking to become acquired, go to Google first. And so why are we giving so much attention on social media where that's not the first place, right? Now, within the infrastructure of Google, half of all Google searches are localized in some capacity. So what does that mean? That means it coincides with the geographic location. I'm going to search for something, something, something using your town or your community, or a more common vernacular of how your patients search. And I'm probably sure that you all do this all the time too, is you might use that phraseology near me. So again, that could be Botox near me, M-Sculpt near me, my RF microneedling near me, what have you. So the question is that what are the qualities that Google is really looking at within a practice to say, yeah, you know what, patient, like this is a great place for you to go to. Does it start by looking at your website? And the answer to that is no, it does not. Does it start by looking at your social media? Also does not care about that. But how Google determines local ranking, and guys, I highlighted this up at the top. This is coming directly from the horse's mouth with Google. It boils down to three main factors, which is what we call relevance, distance, prominence. Now, the relevance piece, this has everything to do with what we call your local listings. So local listings are these profiles that exist online, okay? There's actually 60 of them, as well as 15 applications. And so when these near me searches are being done, what Google wants to do is it wants to trust and validate and verify who are you, where is your practice, what's the proper name, what's the proper address, what's the proper phone number, and it wants to measure the consistency of that data among what we refer to as local directories. So local directories are these profiles that exist online. There's about 60 of them, as well as 15 applications. And I'm actually going to share with you right now a real live listing report from a practice. And all these profiles, Google looks at to basically validate and verify who you are, where you're located, and it wants to see the consistency of that data among all of these different profiles, which I'm sharing with you here. Now, ultimately, when there is a high degree of inaccuracy or inconsistency, it reduces the trust that Google sees in your practice, which lessens your visibility, that lessens your lead flow, and most importantly, that lessens how you're driving new net revenue into your practice, okay? So this is a practice I'm talking to right now. What we're finding here is that their listing information is 90% inaccurate among these profiles. Again, I'm not suggesting to you that a patient is going to go to like a where2.com or a Tupelo to try to find you. They go to Google for that, but Google really does rely on this information. So ultimately, when you have this high degree of inaccuracy, you're not getting visibility for patients that are seeking your services that are in your backyard. That's as simple as it gets to. Now, for you guys to all try to really manage all of this and to blast your information out there across the internet, and most importantly, to maintain that, This is not something you can actually do on your own. You need a process or a tool that can help you to do this. So one of the most foundational things then when we put together a website strategy is we actually integrate a tool which is called local SEO. And what this tool basically is, it's a combination of offense and defense where if there is any misinformation or if there's bad data about your practice, ultimately that gets suppressed through this API. But the second thing that we do is that we push all of the clean and the accurate listing detail about your practice to all these profiles and directories, and we maintain that and we keep it fixed. And we're not just talking about simply limiting to things like name, address, and phone number, but what we're also doing is we're helping to optimize things like your services, your office hours, the payment methods that you may or you may not accept. It's really overall complete business listing management. Now, what we have found is that the more you start to fortify that, good things are going to happen in terms of your driving your localized exposure. This is actually a 60-day impact case study that we had profiled looking at over 200 of our practices that we actively do this for. And some folks were in a bad state of inaccuracy, others were a little bit better. Some were doing more to complement their marketing, others were doing a little bit less. Bottom line, though, of what this helps to do over a 2-month period is that an average practice will see a 23% increase of more views of their practice on Google, a 22% increase of more direction requests to your practice from platforms like Google Maps, website traffic increases by 18%, inbound phone call volume increases by 11%. All of these are calls to actions, which again, on the back end equate to revenue. So when your goal is to grow well and efficiently, this is where your work is going to begin. Now, again, it doesn't necessarily just stop there because again, as we know with the pyramid, there's other things that really boil into how you drive better results. Next, we're going to talk about reviews and more specifically Google reviews. Guys, by the way, before I continue here, you're going to see a little QR code throughout the rest of these slides here. If you have any questions or you want to talk a little bit deeper in terms of what I've just been presenting, take out your phone. This is a QR code that links directly into my calendar. You can get a complimentary consultation with me. Again, just as things are coming up, if you have some questions, you're going to see this interspersed throughout the presentation. So anyway, just wanted to invite you for that as well too. Google reviews. Why do they matter? Because in today's age, patients trust Google reviews much more than a word of mouth recommendation. We go online to affirm that our friend that told us how great you are actually can be trusted by how we verify that by what other people are saying across the internet. It helps to give us what we call social proof. And guys, what I will also say this to you as well is that even if you're not thinking about selling your practice in time, you should be acting as if that will happen at some point in time. And the thing when you drive Google reviews is that these are metrics that buyers look at to evaluate the financial health of your marketing strategy. The more consistent you are with how you generate Google reviews, it actually increases the valuation of your practice. It's not just a no-brainer for patients to look at how well reviewed you are and say, great, that's the practice I'm going to go to because everyone thinks they're fantastic. But it's something that adds a ton of future equity into your practice. And if you don't believe me as to why they're so important, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a case study here. So hopefully you guys all know who Paul Nassif is. If you don't know who Dr. Nassif is, he is a Beverly Hills plastic surgeon. He's all over TV. You might have seen him from the TV show Botched. I've actually presented on one of his panels before at the aesthetic show, but obviously he's a very well-known entity, okay? But here's the thing, when you Google Dr. Paul Nassif, and this is his Google business profile that you see, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, gosh, this guy is so well-known, why does he only have 62 Google reviews? And if you're thinking that, you're not incorrect by making that assumption. Now, how you make your Google reviews work for you, there's 4 things that really go into it. It's having a good rating. You really want to be at a 4.8 to a 4.9. Good volume. You do want to be engaging with your reviews, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. But most importantly, you want to be generating reviews consistently. A metric that I encourage my practice owners to think about is that think about how many patients your practice sees in a given week. Are you at least converting 5% new reviews compared to those patient touch points? And so, for example, if your practice sees 30 patients a week, you really should be generating anywhere from 1 to 2 new Google reviews on a consistent basis, okay? So in Dr. Nassif's case, if we take a look at this here, obviously a great rating, but when we look at the newest review, gosh, his last one was from a month ago. Prior to that point, there was a 4-month gap in between here. Then in between these, there was a 7-month gap. So clearly, the consistency part is not he's not really focused as well on that. Even though he's a guy that's all over TV, very well known, the consistency part is lacking. Alexa, stop. Sorry, guys. I don't know why my Alexa's always, listening into these conversations. So, okay, passive review strategy. So let's take a look at his website because, while his reviews are not as consistent as we would like to see, let's just at least take a look at his website here. And as we take a look at this, boy, he's got a beautiful website. Full transparency, we did not develop this, but all the standards that I've talked to you about are in play here. It doesn't matter where we scroll. His phone number is there at the top right, easy to identify. His ADA compliancy. And just beyond that, the site just looks very beautiful. It looks like he invests well, right? So the logic tells us here, a great looking website is going to forgive a passive review strategy. Let's put a pin in that for the time being. Let's talk about his competitor down the street. We'll call him David, but his real name is Dr. Urman Desai. And so Dr. Desai is also a Beverly Hills plastic surgeon, okay? But what's one of the things that you notice when you start to Google Dr. Urman Desai? Dear Lord, he's got 874 Google reviews. This is a guy that flies relatively under the radar. He's not like a famous world-known entity, but he's got 874 Google reviews compared to Paul Nassif's 62. And just even pay attention to your body chemistry. As you see that number, you're like, wow, this is interesting here. Let's take a look at this. So guys, let me show you his reviews here. And I'm going to sort to the newest here. And I want you to pay attention to, again, the consistency. A day ago, 5 days ago, 5 days ago. Let's keep on scrolling down and down and down here. 6 days ago, a week ago, a week ago. By the way, Google, when your review is aged less than 4 weeks, Google assigns it's this new tag here, okay? And this is Google's way of basically telling the review searcher, these are the reviews that you want to be paying attention to. And by the way, again, every practice that I talk to tells me that their best patients are word of mouth driven. Look at this, very trustworthy. My good friend referred me to him. So that's why we're simply saying is that if you're word of mouth driven, you don't ignore your strategy. You just need to be putting your focus into the ways that are going to be most appropriate to attract more of your referrals. So we clearly established here he's got an awesome and very consistent Google review strategy. Let's take a look at his website here. And again, just as a quick recap here, Paul Nassif, inconsistent Google reviews, but boy, he's got an amazingly beautiful website. Dr. Urman Desai, awesome, great Google reviews. This is his website. I hope you guys are all sitting down here right now. Now, you might ask yourself, does this site reflect the feeling of what you would expect a Harvard-educated, double board certified, double fellowship plastic surgeon to be? Hopefully the answer is very clear. Guys, this is not a good website. This is the site that the Calgary facial injectable doctor has. I mean, this is probably on par with that. Now, am I saying have a bad website like this? No, that's absolutely not what I am saying. But what I am saying, it is telling to understand and to see what patients are gravitating towards. So it's the consistency part. The challenge that a lot of our clients have is that they say, Mike, I hear this all the time. I've got so many happy people. I ask them to leave me reviews. They say that they're going to do it, but they just don't do it. The reason why they don't do it, it's not because that they won't. It's your job to make that process as easy as possible for your patients to do it. How we help to solve that problem is we integrate a software application that we have, which is called Review Power. What is Review Power? What Review Power basically is, it's a text message based integration. And this is a part of our software stack here, guys. But this allows you to send out a mass text message to as many of your patients all at the same time. Can you email out requests? You certainly can, but when you text, you're converting that review about 80% more of the time than any other modality. So you always want to be thinking in a text-based discipline, Okay. So we click on this link here, we click on next. From here then are these pre-scripted templates that basically you can choose from one of these drop-down templates. The whole script is written out here for you. You're not typing anything into your phone. You can actually save multiple templates through this system. So I've had clients that they have templates just for derma filler patients or body contouring patients or weight loss patients, whatever that might be. You can always originate the scripting to really make your messaging very precise. It's not just an integration with Google, but also with Facebook. These are really your two most important review sites as it relates to how you're going to generate revenue. And then from here, you can type in the patient's name, you can put their cell phone number in, or if you have a very busy list or a busy week, say over 30 patients, you can export a list from your practice management software and just drop that list right into here. I'm just going to send this out to myself here. Here's a pro tip as well. Generally, what we have found is that your best times of converting reviews are Monday through Thursday between 6 to 7 at night. Okay. That's based around what your local market is. And so, hey, if that's dinner hour for you, you don't feel like sending those texts around that time, just schedule them to go out at a later time. No big deal. I'm just going to send this out immediately and away we go. So in a few seconds, I sent this text to myself from the system. I'm actually about to receive a text message that's going to be coming in here from an 801 phone number, which I'm going to get this here. Looks like it's here right here. Here's my text. It's addressed to my name. Appreciate your help in leaving a review for Family Test Practice Online. I just click on that link. It takes me directly to this landing page where here what we do is we personalize this with your practice's logo and your branding. These are your direct integrations with Google and Facebook. If I click on that integration, if I'm signed in, bam, it takes me directly right here to where I leave that review. I can just post my feedback, and before you know it, you're becoming an Ermin Desai, where again, you're helping to drive better revenue opportunities, very inexpensive revenue opportunities, cheap form of marketing that drives a very high ROI. I'll actually help put some data behind this here for you guys to understand, but this is one of my clients, Dr. Saltz. And over the course of a 12-month period, being focused on Google review consistency, how did that affect his marketing? Well, after a year, he increased his organic, unique users to his website. These are people that did not know that his practice existed, is now finding his practice 40% more of the time because of better review consistency. That increased his search presence on Google by 22%, increased his search presence on Google Maps by 81%, but that led to an increase of 38 percentage points of more leads and conversions over a 12-month period just because of better review consistency. So again, when your goal is to grow well, this is where your work is going to begin. To complement a well-converting site, to complement your listings, et cetera, et cetera. Now, one very cool new feature of this platform that I do want to talk to you about, I would be remiss without acknowledging this here. Again, I mentioned that a strong review strategy is 4 things that come together. It's a high rating, good volume, good consistency, but you also want to acknowledge your reviews. You want to say thank you to your reviews. You want to acknowledge that that's there. This is a signaling factor that Google picks up on to improve your online visibility on Google's platform. So within this infrastructure, here you can see all of the latest reviews that have come into your practice, both from Google as well as Facebook, whatever that might be. And through the use of AI can now analyze the sentiment of the review that is on your profile and create an auto-drafted response on your behalf that all you have to do is post it, and then it goes to your Google business profile. So if we take a look at this here, it says, hey, I've been a patient of Dr. Rubio for 10 years. She has always done such great work. So much of that, all of my friends were quite surprised when they found out I had Botox done. So what does AI do? It says, well, it's talking about Dr. Rubio, how she does great work. And overall, the sentiment of this review is positive. So as we generate these inputs here, AI has created an auto-generated response. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Our practice is dedicated to providing quality care, et cetera, et cetera. Now, if you said to this, well, gosh, this is a great response, but maybe, let's make the writing style a little bit more friendly, and I don't need it to be this detailed, kind of make it more concise. And click save, and then regenerate this response. AI is going to do that for you. You guys can actually have unlimited amounts of different types of responses here. If you didn't like this, you could just tell the AI, give me a new response, whatever that might be. And again, it can do that here for you. So all really, really cool features to this platform. It's really helped to save you time and obviously effort as well as your investment as well too. Okay, let's hop back in here. Social media. This is the next thing that we want to be talking about. Why focus on this? Because this is a great opportunity to drive more retention marketing. If you think about it from this perspective, your website, your reviews, your listings, these are all ways of increasing more of your exposure and your visibility. Once they've come into your practice, then what are you doing to create engagement with that patient, right? How are you extending that lifetime value? How are you getting them back into your practice? That's where a great social media presence can come into play. Now, what I will tell you guys is that 99% of the practices that I see, they're doing their social media incorrectly. They treat social media like a sales billboard, and it's just constantly sale, 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 or incentive, incentive, incentive. And we got to keep in mind, patients don't go on social media because we want to be sold. We go on social media because we want to become engaged, and it's the engagement that does the selling. Okay. And this slide kind of represents this, and this is a bit older, but it really helps to tell the point here. Insurance company, Progressive Insurance. Pretty boring, right? No one likes insurance. It's something that we all need. We hate investing into it, but we know it's kind of a necessary thing to have. So this is Progressive Insurance's Facebook page. And this slide, again, it's a few years old, but it really helps to tell the test of time here. At the time where we had taken this screenshot, the like count that they had to their business page as a national company was 344,000 likes to their page. Okay. Now, who is the face of Progressive Car Insurance? It's Flo. You've seen her all over TV. And think about the qualities of Flo, right? Like why, what makes Flo engaging? Well, she's dorky. She's kind of funny. She's cute. Kind of nerdy, but most importantly, Flo puts out an essence that she will be there to take care of you. Like if you ever get into a car accident, yes, like you want Flo to be there by your side to make sure that everything's going to be okay. We take a look at Flo's Facebook page. 5.4 million likes to the actual company's page of 344,000. It's the same exact company. Different engagement though, right? So that needs to tell you something about that. Hey, listen, your patients don't go on social media because they want to be sold. They go on social media because they want to become engaged. Now, what I will tell you about social media is that social media is a full-time job, okay? And it really, to be successful with your social media, it really boils down to, number one, are you creating good content that is engaging content? In other words, does it produce a lot of likes and follows and shares and comments? But additively too, are you posting consistently? Now, with these platforms, with Facebook, Instagram, they reward consistency. And the reality is that if you're not posting at minimum every other day, you're just not showing the platform, you're not feeding the machine enough to say, well, this is a profile that's really worth showing more of that content. So your social media campaign really always needs to be seen as an integrated effort or a complemented effort with the marketing company that you're working with. How we help a lot of our practices with doing that is that we help to provide supplemental social media content. Not to say that our social media content is ever going to be blown out of the water. I'll be honest with you, it will not. Your content will, because it's very unique and it's original. In other words, the content that you're shooting within the walls of your practice. But again, if you're not posting at minimum every other day, it's very hard to gain traction. That's what this tool can help to do for you. What we do is we help to curate aesthetic content where we post 4 days a week on your Facebook page, 3 days a week on your Instagram page. We also pre-publish our content to go out 60 days in advance. So that way you can modify the content that we create for you before anything even goes out. So let's just say if I wanted to see some content here on Botox, maybe Juvederm, maybe you want to see some content on microneedling or whatever that might be. I'm just taking a few topics here. The AI is going to take those inputs and then basically be able to create pre-published posts on your behalf as well here too. Let's take a look at this post here. And I'm going to have this post go out tomorrow, so that way you all can see this. And again, because we pre-publish so far in advance, it really does give you a lot of ample time to be able to evaluate what we have created for you and then give it your own flavor and spin before it goes out. So, for example, hey, here's this post about Botox that I just pre-scheduled. And as we take a look at this here, the caption has already been written. The image has already been selected. It's already been pre-scheduled to go out at a certain time. 90% of this work is already done here for you. But maybe you might want to give this your own flavor and spin. Maybe you're not really happy about what how this text reads. Okay, so what can you do about it? You can create something on your own, or you can again ask AI to do that for you. So write me a funny post about Botox, and it should be applicable to a 20 to 50-year-old female demographic. Just to be kind of specific about this here. Maybe I want this to be funny. I want it to be more of a longer joke or whatever that might be. So, hey, let's see what the AI creates. Ever wondered if Botox is a secret to eternal youth or just a way to freeze your face in time? Whether you're 20 and want to prevent wrinkles or 50 and want to erase them, Botox has got you covered. Just remember, with great power comes great responsibility and maybe a few less facial expressions. It's a cute way of ending that. So again, there's a lot of different ways that we can start to use AI and really put this to work here for you. But a lot of the parts of this infrastructure we really have developed to help to make your life a lot easier. So again, guys, just understand good social media, good engaging content. That's the stuff that you guys produce. But having consistency is a needed layer to really help to give your posts much more effectiveness as well too. So we're kind of wrapping up here in the last few 15 minutes that we have. Let's get into now what we call SEO, because now what we have just talked about is the baseline of our pyramid. Okay, that's all the foundation. Again, good converting website, local listings, good reviews, good social media. Now, if the goal is to grow quicker and faster and more acceleratedly, then you start to think about what we call SEO, search engine optimization. And for those of you who don't know what that means, it's basically, hey, how is your website ranking on Google? Are you number 1 or are you number 10? Okay. Now, what I will tell you, we more precisely define SEO as content optimization, because that's really what it is. It's the information that is living on your website. And is it differentiating your practice? Can I learn something about a particular subject matter that I really cannot find anywhere else? So there's a big difference between when somebody searches Botox near me versus when somebody searches, hey, Google, like, what's the difference between Botox versus Dysport? I don't know. So that's where what we call a content-based search. Now, guys, I will tell you, the realm of content optimization has really been shifting a lot over the last 2 years. And we've seen some big shifts and changes because of what artificial intelligence is doing for content optimization. Now, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a history about Google's visibility, Google has always rewarded content on websites. I don't know if you guys understand the history about Google, but it was actually a program that was developed originally to replace how we found library books in the library. It's meant to digitize how we did that process. And so rather than going to the card stack, these two guys from Stanford developed this tool where you could just maybe type in the sentence of a book, and hey, this algorithm would tell you where the book was in the library. That was the birth of using content to find resources. Okay. And Google has always operated around a content principle, which is kind of interesting because I see a lot of aesthetic websites where practice owners have this mindset where it's like, hey, I got to take content off of my website because people don't want to read all of that. That actually cannot be farther from the truth. You want good content on your website because it helps to enrich your visibility. Google has a favorite website. And I'll tell you guys this, and I'll give you a few hints. It's not google.com. It's not a social media site like Facebook or Instagram, nor is it a shopping website like Amazon. But regardless of whatever you search for, and I would encourage you, go Google the name of a place that you like to go visit. Go Google a hobby that you might have, or go Google just even Botox or aesthetic medicine. I will tell you guys, 9 times out of 10, you are going to find that subject's Wikipedia page somewhere in the first 10 slots of Google. Google loves showing Wikipedia because of just the nature of that website. It's huge. It's got a lot of rich information. So the way that you want to understand, your content optimization's success is, are you really being like the Wikipedia of aesthetic medicine in your local market? And I'll give you guys an example of actually what that looks like here. Getting back to the content optimization though, and how AI has really been impacting your SEO. Again, content has always been king, as we kind of established. Now enter into the realm ChatGPT. Okay, Google has always rewarded original and unique content, and I'll use that word unique. Okay, so what I now can do because of AI is I can say to, hey, hey, ChatGPT, here's a writing sample of mine, study it for me. And what I want you to do now is I want you to look at my town and, look at how people are searching for Botox. And I want you to write me a page that should be 10 questions around common questions that patients are asking about Botox. And guess what? ChatGPT can do that. And it can even do it in your writing vernacular. Now, that content, is it original? Yes. Is it unique? Sure. It's never existed before. But Google's taking this a step further. And is the content that is on your website helpful? Is it adding value to the searcher? Can I learn something about a particular subject matter that I cannot find anywhere else? And that's really where your content needs to be differentiated. Oftentimes patients, or I've seen practices write content that is not really for people. An example could be something to the effect of, gosh, Antosi Aesthetics, they're the best at doing Botox outside of Philadelphia. Did you know that Antosi Aesthetics has been doing Botox for over 20 years? And Antosi Aesthetics has performed over 10,000 Botox, whatever that may, that's clearly not how people write or how they speak. So it's about getting the languaging of your website, writing it less for bots and spiders and more for your people. Okay. So a good overall content strategy is think about all the common questions that your patients are always asking. Write those questions down and answer those questions on your website, just like you're talking to a patient, right? It doesn't really, that's kind of a simple thing, but it adds so much richness to the helpfulness factor of your website's information. Your website should have dedicated pages for every single thing that you do. Even all the derma fillers that you have, the various derma fillers that you have, all of them should have an individual page. And within that page, you should have proper content structuring where there should be a lot of questions, answers, questions, answers, questions, answers. And I'll give you guys an example of actually what this looks like in practice here. So this is a client that we work with. And among a lot of the med spa websites that I look at here, this is one that I would say is a behemoth in terms of how they are really generating a lot of their exposure and how they're generating their visibility. Pardon me for one quick moment here. Just got to take a sip. Now, as we look at this website here, it is just rich with great information, okay? And I'll show you how the metrics play out on the back end here. But if I go to their conditions, and again, let me just go to their page about Botox, or if anyone wants to put into the Q&A, if you would like to see another page, just let me know and I can go there. But number one, what you're going to see is, again, this page that is just all about Botox. It's not talking about Juvederm. It's not talking about any other type of derma filler, Dysport. It's all about Botox. We properly tag this page, Botox in Mount Pleasant. I see so many websites, you guys, where like even on the headers of your pages, it does not indicate the town or the city that you practice in. That's like SEO 101. That is over 50% of the SEO lift just by having proper geotagging on your actual pages. Now, as I get into this, hey, what is Botox Cosmetic? Is it safe? Is it going to give me food poisoning? Am I a candidate for Botox? How does Botox actually work? How long does the Botox procedure take? So on and so forth. And so, guys, again, if I were to say do a Google search here, and if I'm going to do a Google search here for Botox Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, not only is this one of the #1 ranking websites, but this is Google's way of telling you this is how people also search for Botox in this particular area. So it's really staring at you right in your face. It's just that you need to have a good process in place that you can mimic a lot of these qualities here. Now, another big component to your SEO strategy is link building. Are you generating authoritative relationships with other websites that are similar across the internet to your industry that have a lot of great ranking authority? Let me bring you to Lineage Biomedical and their page here. And are you listed as being an injector onto their website here? Carla, feel free to unmute yourself here if you would like to. But this, guys, you want to have a profile here on Lineage Biomedical if you are using some of these products here, because by having this affiliation, you inherently then work to establish a back end or a credible link building relationship with your website to Lineage Biomedical. Knowing that this is a national company, they serve practices all throughout the United States. This website inherently has a lot of content authority or trafficking authority just by nature of who they serve. And so this could be another great way of really working to give your marketing an edge by having a link or establishing a profile here on Lineage. Carly, can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, excuse me, absolutely. So we just launched this a couple of weeks ago. I think, how many do we have now? 41 last time I looked, that had listed. We've just launched this. We're guest gathering people's data to put it up here. And obviously it's to help you have clients locate you. I mean, that's obviously its main purpose, but also to be able to link your website, and to link our websites back from yours would be wonderful. But if you go to the top, there's also sort of a band. Scroll up a little bit more on the page. See that band
Right here.
yeah, so those all link to those practices. Those are practices that are on our subscription business. And so it just gives them one more way to be linked from a website. Yeah, and how easy is it to go right to their website? We also
That's
have the social media, the little Instagram on each listing in the lower left corner of their actual, yeah. So you could go see their before and afters and really easy, make it really easy to check you out and
that's
find our
awesome.
way to you. Yeah. So that's just, we're hoping that it helps you get some traffic. And again, I was just on with a practitioner today from Bucky, actually Kimmy, who's at the top here. And she said she is sending links to people to get Google reviews for her business. And she's specifically trying to get them to say or mention NovelClick in the review, which I thought was really interesting. I didn't know anybody was doing that. So kind of trying to now think of what are some ideas to help you as practitioners and business owners get that up and running also. So we'll kind of try and brainstorm that way too. But yeah, we're trying to help.
Carla, how can they get listed on your website?
Just call us. We've got a link. We want them to actually fill out the paperwork so we know we're listing it exactly the way they want it. And so we've got a jot form basically that they fill out. It's super easy.
Okay, cool. So if they call the 722-539-9749, that's
Yep.
what, cool. Guys, do this. This can help your SEO strategy tremendously. In addition to everything else that we've talked about here, cross-linking is like SEO 101. So if you're using NovaClick at your practice, this is a great way of really working to establish more of your authority. So could not recommend that you do that more enough. The other thing I will just mention here to you guys, and I will just say this as we close out here. Um, I'm not saying that Google is going away, and that's definitely not what I'm saying. But you also want to be thinking about how does AI impacting my visibility? Okay, because more and more, um, and I'll be very honest with you, if I need a quick answer, I tend to actually go to more like an AI platform like a Chat GPT and just want to get a direct answer to something. Now, if it's something that's a little bit more broad, or if I'm trying to find a local business, of course, that's where I'm going to use Google. But we want to start to think about what we call generative optimization, right? How is your website? Because again, Chat GPT, it's all based around content. That is a content aggregator. That's why really having really strong information on your website is very, very important. The last thing I just wanted to point out here to you in terms of this website with the Status Spa, as we start to dive into some of their metrics here and take a look at this, I want you to notice and understand just the plethora of traffic and the diversity of traffic that this website is really generating. This site on a monthly basis is averaging close to 2,000 hits per month because of that content differentiation and content development here. But just how you would want to diversify your stock portfolio to maximize your gains, you're going to see a lot of diversification with their keyword visibility to maximize on their visibility to generate more revenue. It's not uncommon for a practice for at least about maybe 50% of your traffic on average to be referral driven in some capacity. That means, your name is out there in your community. That's good to see. Then as we dive into some other specific things here, like microdermabrasion versus chemical peel, PRFM, Botox and Mount Pleasant. As we delve in here, Decadot laser, CO2 laser, hydrofacial, Botox again. So again, you want to have a lot of diversification with some of your keywords because it helps to maximize on your lead generation gains. And ultimately, that's what helps to produce better lifetime value patients, more revenue that you're really converting from your strategy. Guys, I didn't get a chance to really talk about paid ads here. If you want to dive into that, we can certainly talk offline about this. But again, looking at your marketing strategy very holistically, this is the framework, this is the protocol that is going to put your financial position into a place where you're not overspending to see less back. One thing about MyAdvice is that we consider ourselves to be a true partner in your growth. We're not here to be a vendor. We work to establish a long-term relationship with the practices and the clients that we serve. And we don't want to oversell. We understand that practices are going to be on various parts of the spectrum. And a lot of this is about meeting you with where you're at and then how we can help you to grow from there. In closing here, guys, this is just some data that we put together in terms of marketing surveys. We actually had surveyed over 1,000 of our clients, and with the surveys that we had gotten back, 99% of our clients said that they rated their experience with us as being a 4. 93% said it was a perfect 5. So you can clearly see that we're doing some things which are right. We walk the talk, and we also talk the talk as well too. This is our Google business page. We have a 4.8 rating with close to over 460 reviews. Finally, guys, just in closing here, I have put together some unique and specific packages. This is only available to you through this webinar through the end of the month. What we basically do is these are all website and marketing packages. There is no upfront cost when we say create a website. What we do is we combine the costs of the website build, the marketing, the data tracking, the analyzing, the strategy calls, really within one monthly fee. These packages, we put them together. These are exclusive webinar packages through the end of this month. We have plans that start off at $639 on a monthly basis. These are really appropriate if your practice is, I would say, less than maybe 2 or 3 years old, and you might be taking I want to kind of grow sustainably approach. If you're trying to be a little bit more aggressive, maybe your practice has a little bit more maturity, these would be plans that would be, pardon me, more appropriate for where you might be at. Generally speaking, your marketing needs to be, if you're a sustainable grower, you're generally investing 4 to 6% of gross revenue back into your marketing. More aggressive growers are usually around 10%. Regardless of where you're at though, guys, I would love to be able to connect with you guys offline here. In closing, this is again a link to my calendar. If you are in a position where you are really looking to up-level your strategy, please book a complimentary consultation with me. We're really going to sit down, do an autopsy in terms of what's working for you, what's not, how you can be better positioned as we head into this year. If you're not quite ready, but just want to stay in touch, please follow me on Instagram. We'd love to see you guys at one of the upcoming aesthetic meetings as well too. So in closing, Carla, thank you again so much for facilitating this. I hope it's been helpful for some of your clients as well too.
I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. Grateful for the opportunity, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you all soon. So till then, I'm about 4 minutes past my time.
Thank you so much, Michael. This has really been really informative. I appreciate it.
Happy to do it. So you all take good care. All right. Thanks so much.
You too. Bye.
Okay. So besides us,